Hi, I'm Nate Caddy. You're listening to the Don Pod.
Welcome to the Don Pod, the supporters podcast. Here's your hosts, Sam and Nate.
3, 2, 1, yeah!
The Bombers jump into the 8, go 6-4 with an uncomfortable win against the Tigers. Dreamtime at the G. Welcome back to the Don Pod. I'm Sam. I'm joined by Nathan. Hello.
Hello, Sam, and welcome to everyone out there. This is going to be an interesting one. We won a game, which we're always excited by, but it's how we win, which we talk about a bit more.
Yeah, it is an interesting one, and I reckon we might disagree.
Oh,
No?
fascinating.
And I've done research. You have a surprise for me, and I have a surprise for you. So this is just unreal.
Let's just hope our pants stay on.
I mean, hope for the opposite. No.
We also want to have a big shout out to the Mitchells.
Well, we got a couple of shout-outs.
Okay, you know.
First off, I'll say Essendon 11 goals, 15-81, defeat the Richmond Tigers 8-10-58. That's key to the whole
key.
show.
We won.
Now, I'm assuming by the Mitchells you mean your friends who were at the game last night, because I don't know the last names.
Yep, well, Ben and Miller, yes.
Yeah. So, yes, shout out to them, and particularly Miller, because she'll probably listen. And we told her we did it at the start, so she didn't have to listen to the whole thing.
That's right. She can turn off now. Thanks, Miller.
Thank you. Very impressive with her knowledge of football, to be honest with you. I was impressed. I still don't know how you managed to attract these people into your life that are good people. And
Good people, because I'm a good person, Sam. So,
Yeah, anyway, all right. We're losing people.
Yep.
And I'll give you the other shout out later on.
Yep.
The person who wants it will know. Merritt had 37 possessions, Martin 35, Roberts 34. I don't know why you've added a fourth one in there, big dog.
Oh, because it was still 30 possessions. Like,
Fuck him.
I felt I had 31 for everyone out there.
Fuck him. In front of the sticks, Angus Clark, my new favourite Angus. Kick 3. Wright and Martin 2, and Perkins, Guelphy, Durham, and Caddy kicked 1 each. It was a strange old night. For 3 quarters, it was pretty piss poor. And then we just decided, all right, we'll try in the last quarter, and that was sufficient to beat a very, very young side.
Well, they're two young sides. I'm not going to
Well,
argue.
this is the research I did.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because I was watching part of the replay this morning.
Yep.
And I got frustrated because they're like, oh, the young, the Tigers are just they're cooked. They're tired. It's just their young bodies. And I was like, hang on a minute. We're not old either. So I did some maths, and whenever I do this, I'm going to put a caveat on it that I don't claim it to be perfect. So if it's wrong, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Our average age last night, and this is just the year, not 26 and 378 days. Would be 28, but don't worry. We were at 24.78. So let's round that up to 24.8. Was our average age. Richmond were 23.3.
Okay.
Well, 23.25, whichever way you want to round.
Yep.
So on average, 1.5 years younger, which I feel like is quite substantial. And this is just a bit of storytelling here.
Fair point.
So our average games. Now, I would like you to guess what our average games were last night with Goldstein. I'm not doing this without Goldstein.
Yeah. I think this is the asterisk in it all, but with Goldstein, I'm going to say 70.
102.
Really?
Without Goldstein, it was about 93, I think.
Yeah.
Richmond was 63, so they were about 40 less.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, well, what about the Dogs?
All right.
We played the Dogs and got belted, obviously, the week prior. So I thought, well, what's the difference between
us and them?
Sort of one opponent to the next. So they, on average, are 1.4 years older and have only played an average of 10 extra games. If you do that across the board, quite a lot of games, 10 by 23.
Yep.
But per player, only 10 games.
That's
but I went deeper because I wanted to suit my own narrative, as you do.
Yep. Love it.
We had 4 players play less than... Sorry, I did this and I'm wrong. We had 6 players last night under 50 games, and we had 4 teenagers. Richmond had 14 players who have played less than 50 games, 14
Wow.
and 4 teenagers. So same number of teenagers, just vastly less experienced. But they've also then got guys like Vlosten, McIntosh,
Broad.
Broad,
Yeah.
Taranto, Hopper, who have played games, and 3 of the 5 there have won multiple premierships.
Yeah, that's right. They've got premiership winning players. Yeah, we don't have any of them.
And the Dogs, and this is the team that played us last week, had
Mm.
7 players with less than 50 games experience. So actually more than what we had.
What's all this telling me, Sam?
Partially for me, maybe that we're not as young as I thought we were.
But does the
A little bit.
Goldstein does the
But
Goldstein
if you
number? I
take
feel-
Goldie out of it, we're
Yep.
averaging 90 games, which is still more than Richmond.
Yep.
It changes the Bulldogs comparison quite significantly.
Yep.
But he played. He played.
Yeah, but
So
he's only
we
playing
can't-
because we got injuries. Like,
yeah, I know, but we can't just pick and choose to suit the stat. He played, so therefore he's
No, fair enough.
included in the average.
Mhm. Yep, all right.
Just an interesting comparison. That's all.
Mm.
I really struggle to figure out where we're at because of the injuries, because of the way we play still, and that was one way I thought I could do it.
Well, yeah, fair point. I have a few things too on that as well. We'll get into later on.
All right, shall I do some team stats and then we can
Yes.
do the super deep dive?
Yep.
That took me about an hour, by the way.
Oh my god.
So a little bit of love, please. Even if it's shit stats, I mean, still love me. We were plus 100 disposals, 52 handballs, 48 kicks,
Mhm.
plus 7 inside 50s, which when you consider we were plus 22 clearances, to me doesn't quite equate. That came from plus 26 hit outs, and we were plus 20 at stoppage and plus 2 centre. And impressively, for a team that had plus 100 disposal, we were plus 20 tackles.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I tell you what, though, you read all those stats. So plus 100 disposals, plus 26 hitouts, plus 22 clearances,
Probably should
and
have
we won
smacked
by
them.
23 points.
Mm.
I mean, there's a stat in here. So we dominated in the midfield tonight, recording 45 to 23 clearances, scoring 5 goals 6 to 2 goals 2 from that source. Our clearance differential is the best on record. Yeah,
You mean in that game
No, in the AFL.
for the year
45
forever?
to 20, 45 to 23 is the best on record.
Wow, where'd you pull that one from, big fella?
My bottom.
Oh,
And but then you go, but we won by 23 points, and we only really won it in the last quarter. So,
yeah.
so you look at that data and you go, so we're getting the ball out of the middle and we're kicking it forward and we're just fucking it up, like giving it back to them. And then you dig a little deeper and you go, well, they scored from their defensive half. So when the ball went into our forward and we couldn't score from it, they scored 41 points, I think, from the defensive half. So you go, well, so what we're bad at is kicking it to our forwards poorly, giving it back to them, and letting them run up the other end and score. And this is not just Richmond. This is pretty consistent. If we look back at our data, I think you and I would agree, we do all right in hitouts, we do fairly well in clearances, and we do all right in inside 50s, but then we lose games. So where's it breaking down? What's wrong with the team? And one of the things that stood out to me last night, actually being at a game, so this was the first time Sam and I were at the
I
game.
should have mentioned that.
Yeah, Sam and I were at this game. We had a few beers. Can't get over the price of the beer.
It was an expensive shout, but
Oh, so ridiculous. But what stood out to me was how high our forwards kept being. Like, they were so high. Like they were, and I talked about this with Ben in the sort of third or fourth quarter, that like what, so they're just really looking for a kick over the back a lot of the times, which I'm a forward. I want to be back further and running into the ball. Like that's your natural forward possession. I want to be coming at the ball, chest out, with all my power and hitting the ball hard, not all the time running back, trying to turn them around. So that part of what I saw and what frustrated me was that I just don't like our game plan. This chip it around, and if we try and go fast, there's no one to kick it to. So those were the things that stood out to me live at the game.
very good. Well put. I think we'll call it there. What do you
All
reckon?
right, that's
Yeah,
the podcast.
And this is sort of on my agenda.
Yep.
For this week is the forward line efficiency, because
Mm.
we kind of sort of figured out the defense. I know we got belted last week, but the right pieces of the puzzle are there.
Yep.
I'm even enjoying Jackson pretty consistently now.
Yeah, no.
Still don't enjoy McGrath, but I understand he does a role defensively that other guys don't. So
I'd make a
heads
statement
up.
too on that I reckon Mackay, when Reed went off in the late third quarter, whatever, I thought Ben Mackay did some really, really good things. It looked to me like he said, right now, I'm the number one, Nacho.
Well,
I've got to be the guy now.
that is on my agenda, but let's keep it.
Yep,
I've
sorry.
said agenda twice tonight. That's a bit gross.
It was a bit planned.
Yeah, let's very AFL 360.
Caroline,
Let's.
Caroline, what's her name?
Oh, don't. Let's keep it to the
Yeah.
forward line for now. So Langford went off, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, quad,
Um,
wasn't it?
yeah. So that'll be a couple of weeks.
6.
And I think just as a broader conversation, Reed also went off in the third, and then our best quarter by far was the fourth.
Yep.
Not sure if that was actually by score, but we were certainly territory. We were killed them in that last quarter.
Yep.
So there's a conversation there for me that are we a bit too tall? Was it just the conditions? Because we looked so much better when Reed went off, and that's nothing against Reed.
No.
Just
Yep.
structurally, we were way better. Was that just Richmond being young and dying in the arse, essentially, having injuries of their
Yeah.
own?
I think Richmond were cooked in the last quarter.
Yeah.
I think I would put that as a
So-
big factor. Mm.
Caddy gave us permission to slander him if we wanted to, and I'm going
Oh.
to say my first negative thing about him.
Get excited, people.
Brother needs to figure out the running under the ball.
Okay.
He did it multiple. I think there's only one that I can recall where he actually got in the right position. Other than that, he was being run under the ball. Whether it's him or whether it's his opponent,
Yep, that's fair
he's
point.
got to figure some shit out.
Yep.
And I know he'll get better, and that's okay. But that's something that really shit me last night, particularly.
Yep.
Pete had a good game. I got no
Yeah,
issues with Pete.
thought he had a great game. Yeah.
But Caddy, we're relying on Caddy now as that second tall because one, Langford was shit. Two, Langford started in the defence.
Yeah, that was weird, wasn't it?
And three, now Langford won't play for 6 weeks,
Yep.
probably.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it's necessarily a structural issue forward line. There's issues in that we keep kicking it to the wrong guys and we keep kicking it to the defender's advantage.
Well,
So that's a midfield issue.
But that goes back to the stats. What the stats show us. So we get clearances. We go inside 50s, but we're not.
Turn it over.
Yep, we turn over. Yep.
Vlosten and Broad must have had 17.6 billion intercepts between them. We just kept kicking it to them. And
Yep. And when we play good teams, we've seen that Bailey Dale and stuff like that had 50 possessions.
But it's disrespectful to Broad and Vlosten, who have won 3 flags each, I'm going to say. I'm assuming they played the 3 flags each.
Yep, I think it's it.
To just bomb it on their head because Richmond are a bit shit at the moment. Like, do we think we're just going to get away with it because they're not very good and we can make it work, but failing to recognise, hey, there's actually some serious experience back there.
Well,
But sorry, my point I'm trying to get to is I don't know if it's Cattle, particularly in the sense of not good enough, right? Caddy, Kako, whoever else. Gresham's a piece of shit.
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry, Gresham is the worst footballer I've ever seen in my life.
Oof.
But we need another tall. We need another tall forward.
Well,
We need another tall forward that's about as big as Pete. Sorry, go.
Yeah, no, well, here's my statement. From what I saw, that last quarter, one of the things that I noted was that I thought our forward line pressure became greater because we had no tall forwards. It was the Guelphis, it was the Kakos, it was the even Greshams, your little hated boy, that they started to hunt the players and tackle and put forward line pressure on that wasn't happening earlier. Now, 2 factors in this. Were Richmond just tired and exhausted, young players, and they were missing. Part of that too is they'd had injuries as well, so they were short their bench rotations. So part of a challenge. But I also thought because there was a period where Peter was rucking, Caddy was off the ground, and so was Goldstein. So we were left with there was no one. There was
Literally no one.
Yeah, and that's when all of a sudden I noticed a whole bunch of pressure hit our foot. There was a little couple of moments where we pressured, they kicked it out, and then we had a shot. Then they couldn't get it out of our forward 50. So I was like, maybe we should be trying to go smaller. Maybe that's part of what we're doing wrong. Because some teams get away with it. Collingwood do it well. Hawthorn do it very well.
Not today.
No, not today, but history has shown that they can do it well. I'm sure there's other teams.
that was kind of my main point to start with. I realised I just said a whole lot of nothing in the previous 5 minutes, but we did genuinely look better when we were shorter.
Yeah,
Now,
I think so too.
I might put it 75% on the Richmond were cooked, maybe
Yep.
25% that
Oh,
maybe it just
there's a
worked well
percentage
for
of
us.
that. Yeah. Yep.
But there's a bit of a conversation around, do we need a ruckman in the mid-season draft? Do we need
Oh,
a forward? Apparently there is a tall forward from WA. For me right now, that's got to be it, because Paul Cads just gets shit service and then struggles for reasons as you're saying, because Pete's in the ruck, which then Caddy's it.
yeah.
How many
But
other 20 game forwards are there that are the only tall player in their forward line?
but doesn't matter if we have another tall. If we're still going to deliver it the way we deliver it, we're still going to be in
Well,
trouble.
yeah, but we might stop bombing it on Zach Merritt's head or
Well, that
Kako's
was
head.
we did that a couple of times. We laughed at that. There was one moment where Zach Merritt was playing centre half back. I was fascinated by that too.
He had a good game.
It's so interesting being at the game. You really do get to see that other side of it.
Well, I was in the second row, which, I mean, I saw nothing from all the way back there.
Yep. Well, let's go to a positive. Let's jump off.
Well, yeah, we should. That wasn't a negative per se.
Well, I think it was.
I think the forward line
That's fine.
dysfunction is now our biggest issue.
Well, here's something I wanted to throw in as a positive. So,
Please.
Pup Clark, first game. I think we haven't worked out if he's called Pup because he looks like Red Dog or because his last name's Clark, like the famous Michael Clark.
I think we're going with the Redmond thing.
Yeah, anyway. I noticed, again, being at the game, he played a bit of an old school forward or winger, who went forward, yeah, and he snuck out the back a couple of times. And this was what I was saying to Ben. I said, sometimes you just want to get someone up the back. And if you get a quick turnover and you look up and oh, there's someone way out there, let's kick it to him. And you could see that's how he got a couple of his shots on goal. Like he was out the back. The opposition Richmond defender had to get to him to sort of put pressure on. I think one time they gave a free kick away, and that's when Nicky Martin kicked a goal, and then there was a few others where he snuck out the back. So big fan of him. First game, saw so much of him, didn't we? Like, what didn't you like about him? What was bad?
Yeah, nothing. He got in really good positions out the back, but it was still in one-on-one contests some of the time. But he was able to still use his strength and actually take the mark out the back, like nudge his opponent under.
Yep.
We had a fantastic view of that shot he had that hit the post, and it faded back magnificently, but just not enough. We've coined a nickname for him.
Who's we?
Me and Dan.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Go.
Two of us. The big heifer. He was big. He's just bigger than I thought. He was bull.
Okay.
He was strong. He's a big heifer.
Well, he did split wood. You have to split wood to get to the AFL.
From the country, and heifers are from the country. So there you go, big hef. See if that catches on. Rusty Martin did.
Well, let's go with Pup. Let's stick with Pup.
No, big hef.
But anyway, this leads on
impressive.
to the game I wanted to quickly play with you.
Play with me.
Yes, it sounds horrible, doesn't it?
It does a little bit.
So this year, so far, Essendon's played 10 games. We've had the 2 buys.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. And we've played 7 new players that put the jumper on for the Essendon Football Club.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to ask me to name them?
No.
Good.
I've already got a list of them. What I want you to do, and I want everyone to go tick and cross. Just tick and cross.
So you're going to ask me to tick and cross. And
yes, I'm asking
else
you.
Is going to do it. Okay.
Everyone else can do it in their chatty things. I don't know how all that works, Sam. So I just want tick and cross. If you want to talk about them, go. Feel free, but tick and cross.
All right, I like it.
Jackson.
Tick.
Kako.
Tick.
Edwards.
Cross.
Sard.
Tick. Just on Edwards, not his fault. But
No,
still
yeah,
cross.
fair enough. Yeah, but so yeah, you got nervous about that. I'll go across. Hayes.
Tick.
Yep. Daywicks.
Cross.
Yep. And Clark.
Tick. Daywicks too, I understand it'll come. It's not an indictment on him overall, just that I didn't think he
But it
was
might
brilliant.
not too. Like,
Well, it might not, correct. But
reality of the game we play. Like some guys don't make it.
I'm not crossing him off forever.
No, but this was just about so we're 10 rounds in. I think we are rebuilding. I know the Essendon
No,
club
I
don't
don't
like
want to say it.
Don't want to say it, but that's clearly what we're doing.
Brad Scott never plays the kids, by the way.
Yeah, well, this is the point I was going to make too. Is that I'm pretty happy with out of them, I agree with your ticks and crosses too. To be honest, like of who we've had. I think the sad one out of all that is Hayes, and the fact that we would love, especially
Honestly, that was the biggest tick, and he played 3 quarters.
yeah,
Leave
and
him.
and the sucks that now with Reed having whatever injury he's got that we are. Here's the thing: we might have to bring back the old short or tall.
Is it on my jumper?
Yes,
it is.
Well, Sam and I used to have a few years ago. We had a very strong saying that we're short or tall.
Short
We're
or
just
tall.
short or
But
tall.
we've just finished saying that we could play one short.
I think in defence, I'm a little bit more
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
of course. Depending on
Forward
the
line, I agree with you 100%. But if we're leaving it to Mackay, then Laverde, it's Mackay and Laverde.
Oh,
Could be
Lav.
this week. Like that's the against Brisbane. That's uncomfortable.
I'm going.
Yeah.
How good.
You're the better
Right.
person.
I'll get to go on a plane. It's all right.
Yeah, that's fun. So I agree. Like, and I, look, what worries me is our game style. What I like is some of the kids that we're seeing come through. So I'm in this half full, half, like what do I take out of this? I don't know.
Yeah. I got a lift home with Brian and Dan last night. So these are the guys that
Nice.
have sat behind me for the last 16 years. Great people. And we listened to SEN,
All right. Yeah.
which is not a great radio station. They sounded like amateurs. I thought we were listening to like me and you, but on radio.
Well, we basically are.
Yeah, but you get me. Anyway, it doesn't
I know what you
matter.
mean.
It's not
Yeah.
relevant. And someone rang and said, we are the worst team to ever be 6-4.
That's a fair
And I
statement.
tend to agree.
Yeah, that's not it. I hate the fact that the media's we're in the 8. That's so. Don't
Mate,
put us. We've
we-
beaten Richmond, West Coast, North Melbourne, Port when they couldn't play, Sydney when they had a slip up. Is that it? Like,
You missed one, I feel, but it doesn't matter. We were walking out going, that could be it. As far as wins, like I'm so anticipating it getting more and more difficult. But let's just be positive because we won. We won.
one of the
and
things I was going to talk about later is our upcoming run, so we'll get to that. Yeah.
I thought the fourth quarter was really mature.
Yep.
I think we could have very easily have gone into our shells and let ourselves be overrun by that youth, notwithstanding the fact they might have been cooked. So you touched on it earlier. I want to give a big, big, big shout out to my boy, Ben Mackay. And he is my boy because I spoke to him and you wouldn't.
Okay.
You guilted me. You shamed me for it.
I did shame you for it, and I apologise to you and Ben.
So he had 8 disposals for the game.
It
However,
feels like he had more, to be honest, but yeah, that's amazing.
well, in Q4,
Yep.
he had 5 disposals.
Oh, well, okay, that's
100% disposal efficiency.
yep.
3 contested possessions, 4 intercept possessions, and 2
Is this all
contested
Q4?
marks. This is all in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
And I watched the replay this morning, and he was genuinely everywhere in the first sort of 5 minutes, and then the ball didn't really go down Richmond's end for the next 10.
Yep.
But I'm really happy with Benny. I think when you got a guy next to you like Zach Reed, it must make your life easier.
Agree.
Conversely, Laverde probably makes it a bit harder because no, I can't use that word.
He's been fine.
He's unpredictable. But for Reed to go off and just for then Benny to go, righto, well, I got this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it was just confident.
And that's what it looked like. He looked like he just said, I got this.
And he broke away from a pack at one point, got the ball off the ground, and woof, off he went. Oh, Benny, calm down, big fella.
But he took pack marks, he took the ball, and he sort of looked for the option. He's like, I'll do that job now.
Yeah. It was great.
I agree.
Zachy Boy Reed did get 87 super coach before he went off, which I'm very pleased with.
He's done the right thing by anyone that's got him in fantasy football, is that he's still scored well. And then,
the break even won't be too dramatic this week.
He's gone off. He's not one of those first quarter injuries which really hurt you.
Oh, yeah.
They do hurt.
So I really like Benny. I really loved. Didn't really recognise Caldwell's game at the time.
Yep.
And you see his numbers: 29 touches, 9 kicks, 20 handballs. But that says he's in the coalface. 6 clearances, 11 tackles.
Yeah.
Just back to his oily, shiny best. Shout out to Miller once again. That's her fave.
He was oily and shiny, wasn't he? Yep.
Loved his game. Loved Nicky Boy Martin. Loved the Cole Palmer celebration. That'll mean nothing to you.
We probably haven't. I don't know what that means. We probably haven't talked about Nick. Yeah, I know what that is. We haven't talked about our boy Rusty. There was that moment where he kicked the ball off the ground
To himself or for the goal?
to himself. Yeah.
Oh my God. We were like, oh, that was hot.
And this goes back to that. I see good quality players on our list, like Martin. And I think, well, geez, we've got some talent. But then I look at the way we play and I go, well, I don't know. I
This
get
is where
frust-
I struggle. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I don't. I agree. I don't know.
It's
And
really
then
good for a podcast.
oh well, it is. Yeah, this is what you walk away with our podcast. I don't know.
They're really articulate.
We went and watched it, and I don't know.
No, yeah. Nicky Boy, 35 touches, 26 kicks,
Yeah.
6 clearances, 8 tackles, and a very nice goal out of midair, which the Cole Palmer celebration is what he does, the cold thing, and that's
Who's Cole Palmer?
plays for Chelsea.
Right. Okay.
Very, very good footballer in that
Okay.
world.
Yep.
But that's his celebration. So,
Soccer player. You mean?
yes. Well, it's football too. Whatever. Cockhead. Also, Sammy Durham.
Yes, he was.
Particularly like it when he does it against Richmond because he played in their VFL.
I thought he went forward too when Langford
He
went
did.
off.
You know how we do these things where you and I talk about something and then it happens and we think we're geniuses?
Yep.
Me and Dan and I actually were sitting there. We're like, we couldn't quite work out why Perkins was in the guts. He had a pretty high number of CBAs, I would have thought, compared to previous.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't mind it, but I'd like to see a bit more rotation of him forward, Durham forward, because they've got attributes that make them pretty handy as a forward. And then we looked up, and he's Durham in the goal square. I was like, all right. Brad's on that one.
I really like Durham as a forward. I know he's so useful as a midfielder, but his attributes are just unreal as a forward. I know he can be both, but I'd love to see that 60-40 spread because he's a weapon as a forward.
It's a good player to have when we can't decide. Like, we could argue all day whether he's a forward or a midfielder, and we would never come to an outcome.
Mm.
His pace, that he can hit the ball and get away, the ferociousness in which he does that.
Yep.
Him and Martin, I think it was him and Martin, had a really good moment near us in the last quarter where they harassed. I think Martin harassed, got the ball, gave it to Durham, who looked up and just hit Pete 50 out on the chest. Like, it was just beautiful. Really good play. And this is the quality. Okay. So Durham's 23 ish.
Yep.
Martin's
About
about the same, 24 maybe. Like, there is hope, but then I can't piece that together with some of the shit football we play sometimes, and that's where I struggle.
Yeah, well, that shit football for me is how we get the ball from the back half to the forward half sometimes, and when as I said, live at the game, our forwards looked too high up. There was no one when we won the ball, at our back half. There was no one to kick to, and so they had to go slow play. And we just sometimes don't have the skill, in the McGraths and Red Dogs and those guys to hit those targets consistently. Like even Reed misses targets, so you get chewed up really quickly. And I think that shows in the stats when you look where Richmond scored their goals from, that they were able to take the ball back from us and score.
Yeah, it's hard. We've mentioned it a few times with the. If you're going to do that sideways movement thing, fine, but you've got to do it with a bit of intensity.
Yep.
You can't just do these dolly kicks and you've got to go. And if it doesn't work, try it again. But you just with intensity. You can't just lolly it because when you do, Bulldogs beat you by 91 points.
Yeah, and when we play Hawthorn, and they'll chew it up, and when we play Brisbane, probably this week they'll chew it up. So yeah,
best thing about that is I get daft work. So.
True. So on our run, this is one of the things I wanted to talk about. So we now, this is part of a twofold conversation, I guess. Reed, Langford definitely gone. You imagine for this week.
Langford definitely. Reed was only tightness. So there's a world where he might
be conservative with him.
Hopefully, yes, I agree.
Yeah, they're going to be conservative. Durham was a bit iffy. I read.
Don't know if you see him hobbling through the middle at one point.
Yeah. So we're coming up against Brisbane, up at Brisbane on Thursday night, as Sam will be at, so he'll give us live feedback. No?
Hopefully you remember the match day post.
Yeah, that's right. We can do that on the plane or before the plane, when you're sitting in the airport. Heaps of time.
Okay, Dad.
And then we got Carlton, Geelong, Fremantle, and then the bye. So,
and I'm guessing that Freo's away.
It has to be, yeah, I imagine. I didn't look properly.
Because Carlton, Geelong will be at home, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, tough run. Carlton, if you can get on top, I think beatable just because they're a bit
they were ordinary again today. Yeah.
Geelong, God no. Fremantle, God no. Brisbane, God no.
No.
At the moment.
No.
So
And this is again not about playing finals.
no,
This
never.
no, but this is what the concern for me is how well twofold. I think the players are going to get crushed in the next few weeks, which will hurt their sort of self-esteem or their
Egos.
because part of I think what you're trying to do as a young team too, you're trying to build up the confidence of the players. Like, yeah, look, we're a bit off it, just we need to get up. Whereas I'm worried about the next few games. I think we could get touched personally. On a positive, Langford's playing. Sorry, Parrish is playing in the VFL at
Oh
the
yeah,
moment. He's
how's
on
Bro
10,
going?
10 possessions.
Very nice.
I mean, Shield, he's playing. Sardis is playing. So, I just don't know who's going to replace Reed coming into next week. Like I just there's no one else. We have no other tall defender sitting back there in the VFL going, oh, well, it's your shot now. There's no one there.
Mhm.
So. And here's
Brisbane.
another thing too. You know how I get a bit frustrated about we don't sometimes, for the sake of the game, try something different.
Mhm.
In that the Carlton game I was watching today, they sent McGovern up to the forward
Yeah, I
line,
did see that actually
and I
briefly.
thought, see, why don't we throw those things around just every so often? Just try it. I mean, they didn't win, but you saw it. Hmm.
It's particularly, I think, critical when you're down.
Yeah,
Like last night wasn't a game where we had to do it. Fine.
no, but the dog games we
The
we
Dogs
talked about that. I
game.
would have loved to see some changes in the dogs game in that third and fourth quarter. Say, well,
Oh,
what the
even
heck?
in the second quarter,
Yeah,
just try and stop
yeah,
the bloody bleeding for 5
yeah.
minutes.
Put a tag on fucking Bailey, but anyway,
Anyway, it was last
weeks
week.
ago now,
We're
we'll
done.
get over
We're
it.
done. We're done. My question to you right now is: can
Yep.
Angus Clark get the Rising Star nomination in his first game? Usually, they like a bit of a
No,
build-up.
yeah, they liked a couple of weeks,
Yeah,
unless it's round one.
3 goals,
Three
16
goals, 16, 18
disposals,
possession, whatever, yeah.
14 kicks. I like a
Yeah,
man who kicks. We have a lot of people who
yeah.
like to handball.
I felt like he was just an old school football player. Like he was a country boy who plays footy like the way it should be. He can run like a freaking horse, like up and down the grounds,
Big heifer.
and he will like I don't like saying this because things go so, but we
Don't
saw
moz him.
things at 200 gamer, like
Okay,
just
we've mozzed him.
buzzed him
Did you
all
see
up.
his interview with his old man after the game?
Yeah,
It was classic.
yeah,
Just classic.
yeah.
There's not a lot more satisfying in football than a kid coming in and playing well.
Yes,
Now, no
you're
one
right.
will ever quite top the Nick Martin 5 goals and 28 on debut.
No, that was, but 3 and 18 or whatever is not bad.
Yes, but 3 and 16 should have
Sorry,
been 4, might
yeah,
argue.
yeah, he hit the post on one. Yeah,
Well, no, it could have been 4 because the first goal we kicked was an advantage from his free kick.
true, but he also did hit the post, like so
So
that
it could have been 5. There, it
could
could
have
have
been
been 5
five.
and 16.
He could have taken Nick Martin's mantle.
Drop him. No, good country kid too. Just real. Just real.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
a real dude.
yeah. No, exciting, and this goes back to my conversation about those ticks and crosses. Is that Hayes, sorry, not Hayes, what's the other one who got injured? Did his knees? Oh, no,
Hayes. Hayes, that's
yeah.
his name.
Oh, and the other there was two of them did their knees.
Brian
Uh,
Edwards.
Edwards, sorry, Edwards and Hayes.
Got there.
Yeah. So Edwards and Day Wicks, I don't know about.
Hmm.
The other ones, I think we've seen stuff to say they can play footy for a bit.
Yeah.
Who knows how long, but they look like they can make it. So at the moment, that's a pretty good ratio that we're seeing come out of last year's draft.
Plus, the guys who debuted in the second half of last year, Archie
Mm.
Roberts had 34 touches.
Yep.
Caddy is progressing. And
Yeah.
I really have to remember that he's a tall. And these kids
That's
that are
right.
tall take
There's nothing
longer,
wrong with Caddy.
and
Yeah,
we've got to
yeah.
just cop it. Would also like to appreciate Caddy ever so slightly because he was the only one that came over to our little pocket after the game. And I would like
Yes.
to think it's because I signalled, but we'll never know.
I think it's because someone had a big face of him.
That's true, actually. They did.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Nah, I'll claim it. My boy. My boy. Any other individuals? I've really liked Jackson Pryor the last few weeks.
Yep.
Which, given the first 2 weeks, I fucking hated his guts. That's a real turnaround. Davey Dersma did Dersma things
Gosh.
again. A lot of running, a lot of cracking in, a lot of trying to hurt himself.
Yeah, no, he gives it everything every game.
Merit was merit.
Merritt was unreal, to be honest. Like,
Yes,
we often will gloss over how good Merritt is, but he just does his things. Like he chases, he kicks, beautiful passes. Like just does his thing. He probably got the 2 vote in this game, not the 3, because Nicky would have taken it off him. But
When there's a best on ground award, we're kind of forced. now. I'll give him a 3 votes to that geezer.
Yeah.
There was one moment where Zach kicked it into the forward 50, and I think he hit Dersma, but Clark was closer to us in that pocket, and we were like, give it to Clark, give it to Clark. And we kicked him like, fuck him, drop him, and it went straight to Dersma's chest, like 15 out. And we're like, okay,
Yep.
maybe Zach knew better than
I
us.
thought Guelphy was fine in his first game back.
Yeah, he was all right. The only one that really shit me consistently was Gresham.
Well, Perkins for me, like his handballs, missed targets, like he just in that first half, I felt like every time we got the ball, he gave it back to them, and that was really killing me.
Killing me softly. Perko had his 62.5% efficiency from...
I reckon that was like in the 40s in the first half. That
He's-
improved.
Well, see, I thought he was a bit poopy,
Mm.
and then looked at his numbers. Kicked a goal, 24 touches, 6 clearances, 4 tackles. And I would love to know his CBAs compared to weeks prior. Because I'm sure as shit I have not noticed him in that midfield for a few weeks.
No, definitely he hasn't been going into the midfield. That's
Sets of field was good. Just the 8 tackles this week, not his usual 10.
He was, but I mean, who do you think stunk it up? Like if you were dropping someone,
Gresham.
okay, Gresham. I still get frustrated by Goldstein the way he rucks, or Goldfish the way he rucks. Like when I watch him, he often focuses on the opposition ruckman a lot. Like he's watching them, and then he
I mean,
does what
he's
he does.
played 360 games.
Whereas what I liked about like Wright is that there were moments where he just went after the ball in the ruck, like, and there was that one where he kicked the goal from the throwing because he charged at the ball, grabbed the ball, and kicked it. So now Perkins did 32% CBAs, and he did 19 last week, 35 the week before, 18, 17.
Okay.
So he has been
the North
sneaking
game.
in there. Yeah.
Hobbs's sub, I think that worked pretty well for us. Hobbs seemed to get the game pretty well when he came on second
he was
quarter.
fine.
That would have been.
Mm.
Don't hate it. When a guy who's been consistently in the 18 or 22 goes back to the sub, it makes me kind of think he's on the outer, or he's on the way out.
Well, he's the first one to be pushed out. Yeah.
Yeah, but Laverde did probably 16 good things and then one really shit thing, but that's fine.
That's fine. Yeah, but we're going to be relying on him over the next 3 or 4 weeks, even more so, because I don't think
the attitude towards him for me is so different because he has to be there. There's no option. Like
no one else.
Yeah,
we are short at all.
Very much so.
Shall we do
let's
our
do
votes?
some votes. You and me are the same. So do you want to do it for both of us?
Yeah, all right. So both of us went 3 for Martin. I mean, clear winner, like just unreal his game was. 2 for Merritt. He 30-odd touches. He just leads. Like, I love the way he goes about it.
Mm-hmm.
He's close to the best player in the last 20 years, probably behind Job.
Yeah, God, it's nearly been 20 years since Hurd retired. Yep.
Yeah, and then Clark. Like, you have to give him votes. 3 goals, 16 touches. Like, that's a very good first game. But even if it was a 50th game, that's a good
It's
50.
impact.
Yeah.
Yep, agree.
Yeah.
Now, listener, I believe we won by 23, and he said Don's by 22.
Yep.
So that was the closest that I could see. He gave 3 to Martin, 2 to Durham, and 1 to Clark.
Yeah, fair enough.
No
Durham
arguments
was
with Durham at all.
Yep.
Now, the reason this is my shout out, the second shout out, because his name's Wes Dow.
Where's Dow?
Does that surname mean anything to you?
Dow?
No.
No.
His wife might have a different name. Apparently, his wife Simone works with you.
Oh, right, yes. Well, yes, I do know. No, yep.
So we have to give a big
Probably
shout
I
out
should
to...
know her last. That's probably her last name, but you know me with people at work.
No, it could not be. I mean, we don't know
No,
that for
probably
sure,
is.
of course.
That's not ever. I don't.
But yes, Simone listens, and she wants
I had to give her
my
my phone number this week. She's been pressuring me for my number.
Hope Wes isn't listening.
Well, not in any sort of other way than I think she just wants to talk
She
footy.
wants to talk footy.
Yep.
All right. So he said, my wife wants a special shout out on the pod. She works with Nathan. So Simone, thank you for listening.
And Simone will be very happy because they were coming to the footy this weekend, watch the Essendon Richmond game, and as you know, he's a Essendon boy.
Yes.
Simone's Brisbane. Then they were going to the Brisbane Hawthorn game. So
very nice.
had the
and the
double
Brizzy
win.
one.
Yeah.
How good.
I think she was a bit worried about having a double loss, which could happen.
Was plausible.
Yeah, very plausible. Yeah. So they would have had a good weekend.
Yeah. Well done, Simone.
Yep.
Next week, we might have mentioned it 3 or 4 times already. We play Brisbane at the Gabba, Thursday night football. Wonder how the AFL feels about that decision right now.
Especially how well they looked against Hawthorn. I watched a bit of the game. I thought, oh, they look.
But they're a bit like they're good and then they're not again, and then they're good and then they're not, and then they're
Yeah, but they couldn't. But like a team that's building into us, still a long way to go.
Yeah, good teams do that. Yeah, that's
They
fair.
just play enough good foot. They beat Hawthorn by 30 points. I mean, that's
Good.
That's good. Like, let's look at and to be honest, they about halftime they were in front by about that mark, and I don't think
Just
it even got
controlled it.
closer in the second half. So they just did enough to win.
Yep, excuse me.
Hmm.
Well, yeah. The VFL is happening.
The VFL is happening right now, and
Now, it's just about halftime. So, Sardis is on 18 disposals. We'll say before halftime. It's very close to halftime. Vigo
Paris is on
16
15.
hitouts and 10 disposals.
Paris is on 15.
15, 4 kicks, 11 handballs. We have a lot of guys who like to freaking handball the ball.
Well,
The other Zach Johnson.
Lockie Neal gets away with it all right, wins Brownlow.
Yeah,
So
we've got like 5 of them. That's my issue. Anyway.
okay, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. That's a fair point.
Zach Johnson has had 12 disposals. Shields
Any
having
tall
had 9.
defenders?
That's a bit gross.
Yeah.
Luau 6 and a goal. Menzies 6 disposals, no goals. Davey Jr. a goal. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know about any changes other than the injuries. And I honestly don't know what we do. So maybe Zach Johnson for Langford just because he's a taller mid. No.
Well, I think it's a great.
Doesn't play. I have no idea.
I don't know what you do if Zach Reid doesn't
Be
play.
chucking Caddy down back and just play fucking the forward line on vibes alone. What else do you do?
Yeah, I have no. I really have no idea because it's starting to move into that like dangerous zone. We are not even at the halfway mark. We've got, what do we just say, 4 games until the bye, till our bye, and then another 9, 10 games to come home with in the second half of the year. And we're
not getting any of these guys back.
No, that's right. It's not like they're back next week. Ridley will be back somewhere later in the year, realistically. Yeah. That's about the only one. Like, Reid, hopefully, I reckon they'll go 2 or 3 weeks with him just to be sure. And then Langford, seriously, that could be 4 weeks easily.
And the rest, quad.
Yeah, he's come off something. And the thing about Langford is, in his early part of his season, he was injured most years. Like
he was injured at the start of this year, did he, Sammy?
He didn't play a full season for about the first 5 or 6 years of his career. Like, he was always, something was breaking. And then he kicked 50 goals a couple of years ago, and we thought, hey, maybe he's better. Nah,
he's a forward.
Yeah. So it will be fascinating. And again, you can't go to Hayes. He broke. Tay Wicks, maybe you come back to him, but I don't think the form from his last game.
Well, I think
you go Davey and just go small.
Well, if we needed a tall, I'd probably support Vigo now with Goldstein.
So that you can play Peter Wright as a backman, or
no, you play Peter Wright as a ruck. As a forward, permanent forward.
Yep.
And have Vigo or Goldie. I think I'd prefer Vigo, to be honest, as the ruck forward.
Yep.
Because Vigo's 203 centimetres. When you're that tall, you're going to be a threat. It kind of doesn't matter.
Yep. Does Parrish come in, or does he play another VFL game? Or do you just wait and see how his body pulls up after the first game and make that decision?
Yeah, that.
Yep.
I think also, if he's only playing half a game this week, which we can't answer yet, then maybe he has to go again next week and just get another full game or 3/4 or whatever it might be.
I don't mind him playing another full game either. I think that's a good thing for us.
It's the same with Reid. I'm okay with the cautious approach there. If it means we're losing games of football, don't care. Get the guys right.
Yeah, that's right, 100%.
Fine.
Well, do you play Sardis then, and so Durham can play more as a forward? Because then Durham could be your Langford replacement, as that they're not same height, but not far off each other. And then Sardis comes in to play more of a midfield, with Hobbs maybe also coming onto the ground as more of another midfield. I don't know. You're just trying to push Durham into that forward and say, okay, you're playing now as a permanent forward. We know you can do that.
Can I read you some numbers just quickly to aid this discussion?
Yes, go. I love it.
So clearance players for us last night. I'm going to exclude Goldstein.
Yeah, because
for what it's worth, he had 2 kicks and 9 handballs, but I'm going to exclude
he had quite a lot of clearances, yes.
Nick Martin had 26 kicks, Brilliant. Beautiful.
Yep.
Durham, 12 kicks, 14 handballs. Caldwell, 9 kicks, 20 handballs. Setterfield, 8 and 11. Merritt, 22 and 15. Fine. There was another one that had really high handball. McGrath, 14 kicks, 17 handballs.
Yep.
We have a lot of guys who handball the ball far more than they kick. I can't see why you'd bring Sardis into that
But
mix.
stop. That's. I disagree with what you're saying. That's not the players. That's the style of football they've been asked to play. That's
Still,
They're
I
not
don't know why
handball.
you'd bring Sardis
Yeah,
in.
but they're not handball happy guys. That's the style of midfielders. In close midfielders like Sardis handball because that's what they have to do when you got the ball. You can't. McGrath is handballing because he doesn't know what he's fucking doing half the time. But he should not have 17 handballs as a half backman.
Correct.
And
But-
I would argue that who else did you mention there had high numbers early on?
Caldwell.
Caldwell.
Caldwell is the one
I
I
can
can
accept.
forgive
Yep,
because
I
I
can
know
accept.
what he's doing.
Yep.
But
He's shoveling the ball out, and that's what you have to do.
You're not going to bring in Sardis and get a guy who's an elite kick.
No, but then why have Sardis in our team? Get rid of him. Drop him from the list.
That's not the answer either.
Well,
Every
why would
team
you
needs
keep him?
depth.
What-
Every
but
team
what-
needs depth.
I don't like the idea of having a number 5 pick playing as depth.
Forget the number 5 pick thing.
Well, he is though.
Jack Watts was a number 1 pick. Players don't work
He
out.
left the club after a few years.
Jack Watts.
Melbourne.
Oh, he left Melbourne and went to Port. He was still an
Yes.
average footballer at best.
Yes, but Melbourne realised they can't play him in the VFL, so they got rid of him.
Yeah, but it's the link to the draft that I'm trying to suggest just doesn't matter anymore.
Uh,
Like,
I understand what you're
yeah,
saying.
it'd be a waste, but like Nick Cox is concussed again.
yeah, and at some stage you're going to have to make a hard call on him.
Yeah, but it means nothing that he was a pick 8 or whatever he was.
It doesn't mean anything. It's the fact that you've used a very high draft pick for a player that has not worked out.
But it happens. It happens to every team. It's not unique to us.
Oh, I
We
feel
have
like
a
it's-
run of them, perhaps,
Yes, we seem to do it a bit more than
but
others.
it's not unique to us.
Because I'd argue Hobbs is going to be in that category very soon.
Possibly. Sardis is a good player. Got no issues with him
Why
as a
don't he
player.
play senior
but I
football then?
just, because he's one-dimensional. He's got one thing that he is very good at, and we've got about 4 of them.
Well,
2 of them.
yeah, I was
Caldwell.
going to say
We've got Caldwell.
I don't know, we've got 4.
But we have Caldwell, who is better
we got-
at Sarters at it. So therefore, there's no
Yep.
room in that team. for him.
Again, I would be fascinated if you could check Brisbane's numbers on, say, Lockie Neal, on Dunkley, and on Ashcroft to see how much they handball v kick. Because I know Lockie Neal would be high in that handball.
Chucky Neal would be, yes.
Yep.
So-
Dunkley, probably not so.
I mean, right off the rip, the most handballs on the ground was 15 by 2 Hawthorn players.
Well,
So
that's all.
Ashcroft had 12 kicks, 14 handballs. Oh, this is beautiful reading for me. Lockie Neal had 20 kicks and 12 handballs.
Yeah, but I think it's unfair to look at one game and then
I
I'd love
know.
to look at averages. And
I-
I feel like he's more of a guy that, he kicks. I'm not saying he doesn't kick, but
Look, my only point here is I don't
Hmm.
want to bring Sardis in because he does one thing really well, and that's not going to help us right now.
yes, but I'm saying you bring him in because that Durham then can go forward because he can do that forward thing quite well
Yeah, but you also know I'm not a huge advocate of Durham forward all the time
because he's a midfielder.
because he's a very good midfielder.
Right.
He's not
Yeah.
just a midfielder.
I disagree with that, but
He's a very good mid. Anyway, we're allowed to disagree. It's fine. I don't want to argue with you because I'll lose. No, because it's not good listening. But anyway,
no, that's right. Let's move on.
I think the more pressing issue for us right now is the tools. Anyway, as in Reed and Langford, they're the two that we have to replace. No arguments. That needs to happen.
Well, again, I
Reed
disagree
will
with you. Then I think you don't have to replace
No, no,
Langford with a
but-
tool.
no,
You
no,
can
I'm
bring
not- I'm
in.
not
Why
saying
can't you
that.
bring in Davey?
I'm not saying replace him as a tool. I'm saying we have to replace him. He has to go out of the team, and someone else has
Yes,
to come
yes.
into the team.
But Langford could be replaced with Davey, and you just go, well, we're going smaller.
Sure, but
Reed's
gotta-
the challenging one.
also protect Caddy.
You can't,
Pete, you can't just isolate Caddy every single week.
But what if you got
because
no one to
Pete's
protect
rucking.
Caddy with? Who do we?
Vigo.
I don't know if you bring a ruckman in to play forward who's never
It's
played
a
ruck.
tool. It's a tool. Anyway, doesn't
Yeah,
matter. Yeah, Reed's the hard one. You'd almost bring in a small for him and just hope for the best. Brisbane, I can't think anyone other than Hipwood because Day's injured.
yes, which is good for us.
Helpful right now.
Yeah.
I
And
can't
he's
think of
been
another top
rucking a
forward.
bit in that game. I
Oh,
watched
Darcy Fort played today.
Yeah.
Was it Fort?
Yep. And Hipwood rucked actually quite a bit.
We're going to get pumped. Like, does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter.
Why don't we just say, hey, we'll stay in Melbourne this week?
You're going to the game.
I could stay in Melbourne this week.
No, you're not. You're going to the game. Be
No,
great
I'm
atmosphere.
going. I love the Gabba. I love Brisbane as a city.
Yeah.
And I actually struggle to tell you a Brisbane player I don't like.
Zorko's a wanker.
He's a wank, but he's a good wank. That's a weird sentence.
That's Jesus Christ. There's a quote. All right.
Speaking of, can I have a tip?
Well, Brisbane.
Bye.
6 goals.
I'll take it. To be honest.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'll just say Brizzy by 7 goals just to one up you. I'm that kind of guy. Any final thoughts?
No, look, it was great to be at the game.
It was nice to see you, actually.
It was great to catch up with Sam and have some beers with him and Ben.
Did your
I
daughter
took my daughter. She
like speak at
survived.
any point?
Sorry?
Did she speak at any point? She wasn't talking to me.
12-year-old. You're not cool with the 12-year-olds. We've explained this to you. You're cool with the 5-year-olds, but once they lose that visual sense of humor, then you're out.
That's all I got with kids,
Yeah, I know.
though, is to
That's all
make
you
them
got, mate.
laugh. Like, that's
Yeah.
all I've got.
Yep.
I tried to have a conversation with her, and I got donuts.
Yeah.
And then she started hurting me. She did find that funny for what it's worth.
Yeah, of course they do.
So that's consistent between 5 and 12-year-olds.
Yep. Yeah, no,
Anyway.
that's the thing. That was all
And I
good.
got
I had a
donuts
great
out of
time.
the other one, too. She barely even said boo.
Yeah, no, that's
I
just
used
let
to be
them go.
cool, man.
When?
Yeah, no.
When?
I got Dan. I got Brian.
Yep.
Although
Yeah.
Dan and Brian need to learn that Laverde is Laverde, not Lavarde. That was
Hmm.
grinding my gears. Dan, if you're listening, sort of.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. We did win after all that.
Did we?
Yeah, we did. Might be the last one of the year.
Oh, could be the last one for a while.
We got Pup Clark out of it. We're happy with him
Yeah.
as a highlight of the year, just about, I think, at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. And me and Nathan have disagreed properly on a podcast, which is also a highlight of the year for us. So there you go.
It is for me too.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate your company and go Dons.
Go Bombers!